Hi everybody, Mr. Rubo here. Today we are still talking 3.8. We are looking at the graph of the tangent function now. So when we first talked about it, we talked about it as it's the ratio of the angle sine to its cosine, and that's going to help us out here where um, we know all of these values. So you can see here we have the angles at the top, 0, pi fourths, pi halves, 3 pi fourths, pi, so on and so forth. And then we have the corresponding sine and cosine values. Reason why we did this is because what we're going to do here is we're just going to take these two numbers and divide them. We're actually going to divide them exactly as they are, so we're going to fill out this table fairly quickly with this information. So once my pen decides to start working, there we go. We're going to do it. 0 divided by 1, 0. Now you might be like, oh, this one looks difficult, but really when you look at this, it's root 2 over 2 over root 2 over 2, which means it's the same thing over the same thing, which means that's 1. And then here we get an undefined value because we're dividing by 0, so undefined, right? And then you just follow the same pattern. Hey, the negative, root 2 over 2, but this time it's negative root 2 over 2, which means you get negative 1. And then 0 over negative 1 is still 0. Negative 1 over negative root 2 over 2 over negative root 2 over 2 is positive 1. And then here again, we get another undefined value at 3 pi over 2, because negative 1 divided by 0, not good. And then here again, we get another negative 1, and then 0 over 1. Now, obviously, there are more values in between those, but these ones are the ones that were all really nice, right? So when you look through this, you should hopefully see some patterns, okay? Specifically, when it's undefined. So because we're talking this tangent function and we're looking at things undefined, we're actually going to have vertical asymptotes, right? Oh, that was good. T-O-O, why is it being weird? There we go. When theta equals the two undefined values here, which is pi halves and 3 pi halves. Okay. And so then each half turn, if you will, around the circle will create another vertical. In other words, these are spaced pi apart. So we're going to go ahead and sketch the graph. And so what we use is this table, right? So instead of going back and forth, I can just see them. So at 0, we're at 0. At pi fourths, we were up at 1. And then at pi halves, we were undefined. Then at 3 pi fourths, we were down at negative 1. At pi, we were back at 0. And then at 5 pi fourths, back to 1. And then 3 pi halves, we're back with a vertical. And then 7 pi fourths was negative 1. And then 2 pi, we're back at the beginning. So you can hopefully kind of see this pattern that's happening. You keep getting the same thing. So if you kind of repeat this, I'll repeat this going backwards. Well, you kind of see the 3 kind of in a line, so you expect a third one here, and then a vertical. Right? Okay, let's repeat it right there, right there, right there, and the vertical. And then the last 2, so we're going to repeat. Okay, now the question is, how do you connect them? Well, you connect them so you hug the verticals, right? Hit the 3 points, and then hug the other vertical. And you do that the same thing in each of these sections. Hug the vertical, and you'll get that where it would go. And yeah, you have all of, pretend you don't go over the verticals because that's a big no-no. And pretend you connect your points. Oh no, my pen, why does it do it? So yeah, connect it, there we go. And we have, this is our tangent graph. So a few things you should notice, and this is like the basic tangent graph, so no transformations done. You'll notice that each of these sections are a period, and that means that the normal period is pi, right? It starts repeating every pi. Okay. Another thing to notice is the y-intercept is in the middle. right? We kind of still have a midline, and just like sine, tangent has a starting value or a y value at the midline, whatever the midline is, which in general, if there's no shift, midline is at 0. And then you have this inflection point in the middle as well of each of these squiggles. I don't actually know the proper term for them. And then these kind of key points, if you will, are also always going to be a away, right? So just like sine and cosine have like that amplitude based on the a value, that's kind of the stretch that we're going to have with tangent. That's how we see it, is those two key points on either side of the midline are always going to be the same distance away, and that distance is always going to be a. Okay. So yeah, I think that hits most of the basics with the tangent graph. We'll talk more about it in class, but thanks for watching and have a good day.